Hey everyone, we are standing right now in the Spring Creek Park. Try saying that 3 times fast. I already did a video nearby. You see that big hill in the back? That is a former landfill. And now it's the Shirley Chisholm State Park, which I did a video on, I think about a month ago or so. Now we are on the other side of the highway and at the bottom of the park itself. I like to sometimes come here because the park is only about 4 miles away from John F. Kennedy International Airport, and many times it crosses the landing path of planes. Therefore, you get really nice views of these big birds as they are coming in to land. Like I mentioned previously, the month of May is a really hectic time for me with finals, graduations, award ceremonies, and so on. However, I still try to post something interesting every single week. But now that we are moving into summer, I am really excited and I will finally have a bit more time to show you some interesting locations. Whether it's on the top of a lighthouse, a historic resort hotel where many presidents stayed, or to see World War I airplanes take to the sky. These are just some of my ideas for the next few weeks. Therefore, those of you who have subscribed and followed me along, thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. I know that for now it is a small YouTube channel. However, for me, it's an incredible journey to see over 300 subscribers, knowing that I only started about 6 months ago without absolutely any plans for this, or even knowledge of editing and making videos really. Therefore, I hope that through the summer months, I will be able to provide you with some great content as I get more comfortable here in this YouTube world. And those who have not subscribed yet, well, please consider. And you never know, you might actually be interested in some of this content. But before we dive into some new content on this channel, I figured I would give you a little bit of a backstory to myself and show you that the information presented on this channel doesn't come from somebody who's using like Wikipedia as a reference, but actually has, well, at least some background experience and knowledge about all this stuff. This part is actually quite challenging for me because I was always really a private individual. And even though I do share stories and life experiences with my students, it is a different thing to post it on YouTube for the whole world to possibly hear. If you asked me a year ago if I would do it, I would shut the idea down faster than you can finish the sentence. But I am slowly adjusting and opening up, maybe not completely yet, but we're getting there. So, a long time ago in a land far away, okay, I'm not that old for a fairy tale intro, but the faraway part is kind of true. I was born in Poland and came to the United States as a small kid, but strangely enough, as you hear, I kept this weird accent, which technically should not exist, and my voice is something I was never really too confident with, which is ironic for someone who is a professor and their career depends on talking, but here we are. I grew up in Greenpoint in Brooklyn, which today is a very expensive, vibrant, trendy neighborhood, but in the 90s it was a bit more of a ghetto and an industrial neighborhood. But I did have 2 parks near my house where my friends and I always hanged out. One of them was McCaffrey Park, where handball, basketball, and occasional baseball kept us occupied during the summer and after school. Going with the last week video about movies made in New York City, on one of the corners of the park we have this building where a scene from the movie The Departed from 2006 was filmed. Definitely a movie to watch if you have not done so yet. Then a little closer to my house was the McCaffrey Park, where we used to play tackle football when in season, and a place for most of sport-related injuries we had. But near the park is St. Stan's Church, and behind it was my elementary school, St. Stan's. In this white building, there was a gym on the top floor, probably still is, and the bottom 2 floors where we had small kids, like 2nd and 1st grades. Next to it is the main building, which were grades 3 through 8. I then moved on to St. John's Prep High School in Astoria, Queens. So as you see, my parents worked their butts off to keep me in private schools and have a good education. But I remember my high school years in a very good way. When I was there was very good teachers who were passionate about their job and really cared. It's only later on that I began to reflect on that and really truly appreciate it. When I was in my third year, a junior in high school, I began working in a catering hall as a waiter and quickly became the maitre d', a job I kept throughout my college years. So another reason why I was a good student is because on Mondays, my hands and feet were pumping with pain, and all I wanted to do is just sit and listen and do nothing. And by the time I recovered, it was Friday again, and the process began. But being in charge of 50, 100, and sometimes even 150 guests, and about 10 waiters or so, gave me more confidence and leadership skills, which certainly helped later on in my life. At the end of high school, I had the possibility of going to Columbia University. However, paying a lot of money for school really scared me, and I chose Hunter College, City University of New York in Manhattan. Thinking about it, if I had someone who explained to me like grants, financial aid, scholarships, maybe I would have made a different choice. But I do not regret it, because in my freshman year, my mom was battling cancer, and the last few months of her life she spent in Memorial Sloan Kettering Hospital, which is just 4 streets, or I should say 4 avenues, away from Hunter College. Therefore, every day I was in the hospital, whereas if I went to Columbia, that would have been difficult to do as it's further away. Entering college, I was a pre-med student, thinking about physical therapy or something like that, but the experience of the hospital and my mom passing away really pushed me away from medicine. And in my second year, I changed majors to history, which for some reason I liked. And it's a field I stayed in. But while here, I also worked in the biopsychology department for, I think, like 2 or 3 semesters. So I gained some experience through that. And in general, I really liked the college. Here you have the 2 bridges that my friends and I would always hang out on between classes. So it was either on these bridges or going to the library to sleep. To study. Who am I kidding? The library was the best place to take naps. Of course, you always told yourself you will do some homework as well, but that never happened. Next to Hunter, there is a Park Avenue Armory, or the 7th Regiment Armory, what it's also called. There are still few buildings like this throughout the city. Here we are crossing Park Avenue. And we had Central Park only 3 avenues away, so occasionally with longer breaks, this is where we came to hang out and relax. After Hunter, I continued my education by going to Brooklyn College, another CUNY. And I was lucky enough to continue on a good path of really having great professors and a great experience. Here is a small pond next to the library building where sometimes I relax for a few minutes before classes, looking at the fish and the turtles. And here is the building where I took my history courses in the evening. while during the day I worked for about 25 hours in Baruch College, where I assisted guidance counselors, led workshops, and did a lot of data analysis. Therefore, in the morning, it was a subway ride into Manhattan, and then in the late afternoon, a car ride into Brooklyn College. Hence, I bought my first car, a 2000 Hyundai Elantra. I immediately nicknamed it the Bumblebee, because traveling more than 45 miles per hour on the highway, the back of the car was moving side to side just like a bee. It was a death trap, and the car was just small and light, and so any bump on the road was felt a lot. But you know what? It got the job done. It was a cheap old car that was to get me through graduate school from point A to point B, and it did so. Next to Brooklyn College is Midwood High School, where even here I took an educational course which was taught by the principal of the high school. Afterwards, I continued my education at St. John's University in Queens, where I got my doctorate degree. I will always have a soft spot for this place. So many great memories, a fantastic experience, and great people and professors I worked with. It was truly something I will always speak fondly about. St. John's Hall is here where all of my classes were held. I was also lucky enough to be offered a fellowship. So not only did I take classes here, but I also worked in the department. And so not all, but most of my doctorate education I did not have to pay for. So I had no student loans or debt, which was just, again, very lucky, because that would have been thousands of dollars. There were days, however, where I would teach a course at 7:30 in the morning, and then during the day I worked in the history department, and then starting at around 5-6 p.m. I would take my own classes, which ran until past 9 o'clock many times. So some days I was on campus for more than 12 hours. It was also here that I really began gaining a lot of experience in terms of teaching in various colleges as an adjunct, trying not just to build my resume, but also hopefully find a full-time work in the future. Therefore, I taught in many places throughout the city, like in Brooklyn, in Kingsborough Community College. In Manhattan, I taught in Baruch College, the different workshops when I was doing my graduate work, but also Technical Career Institute, a college which closed in 2017, and College of New Rochelle in two of their campuses, one in Upper Manhattan on 125th Street, and one in Lower Manhattan by the Freedom Tower. This college also closed recently in 2019. In the Bronx, I taught in Bronx Community College. In Queens, it was St. John's University. And out in Long Island, it was New York Institute of Technology, NYIT. So I had some experience, but also picked up a bad habit of being a workaholic. I was constantly working, and even now, I have a really hard time to just relax and do nothing. Such a concept almost does not exist in my dictionary, which is not necessarily a good thing. Life is all about having a balance, and too much of anything can become toxic, even work. I know it, I teach it, I say it, and yet I do not follow my own advice. I graduated in 2014 from St. John's University with my doctorate in modern world history, and again I was lucky enough to get a full-time position as a professor in one of the colleges here about 2 months after graduating, and that is the college I am with right now, recently getting my tenure. And at this point, I taught all sorts of courses, from American history to Middle Eastern history, European, ancient, modern, and yes, even the history of New York City as well. Therefore, I wanted to share some of this to show you that even though I do not know a lot, in fact, on some days, I feel that I am simply inadequate to do my job. Nevertheless, I do have some rich background in teaching and experience here in New York City. Therefore, I felt that maybe if anyone would like me to give some advice or opinions on certain issues in the future videos, I can do so. And in general, for my viewers to see that there is some experience with the creation of the content on this channel. I hope you enjoyed this, you got to know me a little bit better, and like always, stay safe out there. I will see you shortly.